The medical world buzzed with disbelief. Dr. David Miller, a renowned Chicago surgeon, was sending his son Noah to medical school in the Philippines, skipping the Ivy League. This wasn't out of necessity, but conviction. Dr. Miller had seen the American system grind down its brightest, turning idealists into exhausted technicians. He watched young doctors lose their spark, trained to master facts but not to connect with patients. Determined to spare his son that fate, Dr. Miller chose a different path. Friends and colleagues were baffled. Why forego prestige and connections? But Dr. Miller saw an opportunity for Noah to learn medicine where compassion was central, not optional. He wanted Noah to learn to listen, to truly see the person behind the illness. It was a gamble, betting on character over credentials. Dr. Miller believed the true measure of a doctor was not the name on a diploma, but the depth of their humanity. He'd seen too many technically brilliant but emotionally detached doctors. For Noah, he wanted more, a healer, not just a clinician. The Philippines, he believed, offered a world where medicine was still about service and connection. This wasn't a rejection of excellence, but a redefinition of it. Noah packed his bags, leaving behind the gilded cage of American medical education. He was stepping into the unknown, guided by his father's faith in a different kind of greatness. The story was no longer a rumor, it was a quiet revolution in the making. And it all began with a father's bold bet on a different path. The journey to becoming a doctor in the US is a relentless competition, starting years before medical school. Students are pitted against each other, building perfect resumes and hiding vulnerability. The pressure is immense, shaping lives and often sacrificing well-being. In medical school, the intensity only grows. Endless memorization, high-stakes exams, and little patient contact. The patient becomes an abstraction, lost in a sea of facts and test scores. Clinical rotations offer little relief, long hours, harsh hierarchies, and a focus on survival over learning. Idealism fades, replaced by cynicism and burnout. Studies show alarming rates of depression and anxiety among medical students. They're taught to be stoic, to push through exhaustion, to compartmentalize emotion. Dr. Miller saw this firsthand, the light dimming in promising students, the toll of a system designed for competence but not compassion. He wanted something different for Noah, a path that built resilience, not just technical skill, a path where the heart of medicine wasn't lost in the race. Dr. Miller's choice was rooted in years of observation and research. He'd worked with Filipino doctors and nurses who combined clinical skill with deep empathy. Their training emphasized community health and early, hands-on patient care. Filipino students learned in real-world settings, often with limited resources, fostering adaptability and resourcefulness. The culture valued family, community, and a sense of shared responsibility, qualities woven into medical education. Collaboration, not competition, defined the student experience. The cost was also far lower, freeing graduates from crushing debt and allowing them to choose their path based on passion, not financial pressure. For Dr. Miller, it was a calculated investment in Noah's well-being and future. He wanted his son to practice medicine with freedom, conscience, and compassion. Noah arrived in Manila to a bustling university, far from the manicured lawns of home. The adjustment was intense, but the spirit of collaboration was immediate. Students formed study groups, shared notes, and saw success as a collective goal. The curriculum was rigorous, but always centered on one question: how will this help you serve your patient? Early clinical exposure defined Noah's education. By his second year, he was working in community clinics, learning to diagnose and treat with limited resources. He listened to patients' stories, understanding their lives as much as their symptoms. This hands-on, community-oriented training forged compassion and humility. Noah became part of a team, learning to heal not just with knowledge, but with presence. The experience transformed his understanding of what it meant to be a doctor. Noah's journey was challenging: homesickness, culture shock, and confronting real suffering. But these hardships became lessons in resilience. Filipino mentors taught him to focus on the patient in front of him, one life at a time. Noah's clinical skills grew rapidly. He learned to diagnose with his senses, not just technology. He developed intuition and confidence, treating conditions rare in the US, but common in the Philippines. More importantly, he learned empathy, spending time with patients, understanding their fears and hopes. Illness was a family affair, and healing meant supporting the whole community. By his final year, Noah was transformed, confident, compassionate, and deeply connected to his patients. Dr. Miller saw it during a visit. His son was not just a competent doctor, but a true healer. The gamble had paid off. Noah's eyes held understanding. His presence put patients at ease. He saw medicine as a human experience, not just a technical challenge. The transformation was complete. Noah wasn't alone. He found a growing community of American students in the Philippines. Some were guided by medical parents, others drawn by hands-on learning or a connection to their heritage. Together, they formed a supportive network, studying for U.S. licensing exams and navigating cultural differences. This camaraderie was a lifeline, a stark contrast to the isolation of American medical schools. Students like Sarah Jenkins from California found purpose and confidence, delivering babies and assisting in surgeries. Their practical experience gave them an edge and a sense of belonging. They became global citizens, learning to adapt and communicate across cultures. Their perspective on medicine was broader, more compassionate, and deeply rooted in service. They weren't just learning medicine, they were learning about the world. This network of expat scholars was forging a new kind of physician. They were ready for the challenges of a diverse, globalized healthcare system. And they were bringing those lessons home. The real test came when Noah and his peers returned to the U.S. for clinical rotations and residency applications. Skepticism was high. Some saw international graduates as less prepared. But Noah quickly stood out, not just for his knowledge, but for his patient-centered approach. He took time to listen, uncovering details others missed. His clinical skills, honed in resource-limited settings, were sharp and adaptable. In emergencies, he stayed calm, relying on fundamentals. Supervisors noticed his confidence and empathy. Initial doubts turned to respect. Noah was hospital smart, not just book smart. He wasn't just matching his American-trained peers. In many ways, he was exceeding them. His performance was proof. The Philippine training produced exceptional doctors. The success of graduates like Noah and Sarah caught the attention of U.S. hospitals. Residency program directors began to see a pattern. Philippine-trained students were mature, resilient, and deeply committed to service. Their letters of recommendation told stories of grit and compassion. Dr. Miller became an advocate, urging colleagues to look beyond school names. These graduates thrived in challenging environments and brought a mission-driven mindset. Hospitals in underserved areas especially valued their work ethic and adaptability. The reputation of Philippine medical schools grew as more graduates excelled in U.S. residencies. What was once a backup plan became a strategic choice for a different kind of medical education. More American students began to consider the Philippines, not as a step down, but as a step forward. The quiet revolution was gaining momentum. A new standard for medical excellence was emerging. This movement is more than an alternative path. It's a challenge to what makes a great doctor. The American system has prized prestige and test scores, but often at the cost of empathy and resilience. The Philippine model offers a blueprint for balance, integrating competence with compassion. Early patient contact, community immersion, and mutual support aren't soft skills, they're essential. These experiences build doctors who are both skilled and deeply human. As healthcare globalizes, doctors need adaptability, cultural humility, and creativity. Students returning from the Philippines bring back more than knowledge. They bring a new worldview. Dr. Miller's gamble was a bet on the intersection of skill and character. The spirit of medicine lives where knowledge meets empathy. The quiet exodus to the Philippines is sending a message: true excellence is earned through service, humility, and love for humanity. The future of medicine is being rewritten, one healer at a time.